Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode, or this week's second episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and you will immediately notice, well, there's only three of us here today. We are expecting Umbra, or Infinite Umbra, to show up momentarily. Mav is out on work, Pong is out at work, and so is Boxenberger for that matter. So it's going to be a show where I might reach out to a few people that I know and I trust to get them on in here, talk about some of the big topics. We don't have a lot of topics, but we have a couple of meaty ones. But before we get into said topics, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome in the guests that are here. Daniel McGee, what's going on, brother? Welcome back. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Just finished watching the Nintendo Direct. There's some exciting things in there, and I finally finished Red Dead Redemption 2 last night. So
nice, good for you, brother.
Just having a game day.
Nice. Well, listen, you know what? You listen. I got up to chapter 6 and I fell asleep. So I got to get back to it eventually. I had a good time while I was there. It's just, well, you know. It is one of the great games of last gen for sure. But listen, glad that you got a chance to finish that. That game does look hype. I got to finish it. I really do. I got to power through chapter 6, which a little boring to start out with, but we'll see. We'll see if I ever get back to it. Rockstar games are great, but they are long AF. Sometimes maybe too long for their own good. But listen, Josh, N64 Josh, what's going on? You must be happy. There was a lot of Nintendo news today, but you're here to talk about Halo, right? You're one of your other loves. We got a lot to talk about because there's some big undergoings at 343 Industries. I'm gonna break all that down. We got some press releases from Microsoft proper, got a Bonnie Ross statement, and a few other people within the industry that came and wished her well on her new journey, whatever that may be. How you feeling, Josh?
Amazing. So glad to be back. Sorry, I've really missed you guys. I'm so glad to be back to talk some Xbox, to talk some Halo, and to cry about GoldenEye.
Well, let's get into GoldenEye, which was, of course, it is a renowned N64 title that had many of us piling around a CRT TV back in the days with their friends to play slappers with Odd Job and the lot. And, well, we have been waiting for the remake to find its way to both Nintendo Switch and, of course, the Xbox. And we saw it finally, come to fruition on the announcement during the Nintendo event. Listen, it's one of the big things out of what happened today is the fact that, yes, it is coming into Xbox Game Pass day and date, and that is awesome. But folks, if you thought it was time to throw the party hats and hang out playing GoldenEye multiplayer, well, I got some real terrible news for you, because unfortunately, GoldenEye multiplayer, and I cannot believe I am saying this, is an exclusive to Nintendo Switch. I mean, what in the actual F planet are we on? Are we on Earth? I don't know anymore, because quite frankly, the Nintendo Switch Online is by far one of the worst ways to play online. And somehow or another, GoldenEye's multiplayer, folks, is locked behind a Switch. Now, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to buy it on the Switch, because, well, I have over 100 games on my Switch and I love it. But I was hoping to play multiplayer and maybe do some recording of it on the Xbox, which is expected to be the better version. And I say question mark. You hear it in my voice because, well, I got some stuff here, folks. It's going to just blow your mind. We have a DM open where it has been confirmed by 3-Bit, who you think you know who 3-Bit is. Prominent member of the community, but prominent developer as well, that this, I don't even believe I'm saying this, the Switch version is going to be the better version. That's right. I'm not making this shit up, ladies and gentlemen. That has been confirmed. And here's some more confirmation from our good brother, the Wandering Dutch. he puts into the a piece of the press release, and it says this. Thanks, Dutch, for this, brother. Definitely appreciate it. He says the remastered game includes 4K resolution, smoother frame rates, and even split screen local multiplayer. Which, okay, that's cool if you're gonna sit with your buddies like you did way back in the days. Rare says it will even arrive on Xbox Game Pass and Nintendo Switch Online, but online play will be exclusive to the Switch version. I mean, listen, I'm confused. I am dumbfounded by what I am reading, you ladies and gentlemen, because I cannot believe that this is the thing. But unfortunately, well, here it's 2022, and well, here we are. Josh, you are a multiplayer guy. You are a Nintendo Switch guy. And what are your thoughts on the revelation that GoldenEye is here? So yes, it's here, but the best version is on Switch, and the multiplayer is locked behind that. I don't understand, folks. I like I said, I think we're living in bizarro world. Josh, please help me. Save me, Josh.
I can tell you there's one word. One word is all I need to say, and it's Nintendo. Right? They are hungry for subscriptions, and if the only place you can play GoldenEye online is on Nintendo Switch Online, then well, guess who wins there? Not us, unfortunately. I mean, we know this is the second time this deal's been out
talked about. Yeah.
Right? Like the game was done. It was ready to go. And it was like a more of a remake, remaster kind of thing back years ago when it was going to be on Xbox Arcade. And Nintendo got cold feet. And so yeah, I mean, honestly, kind of surprised that Xbox went for it, that they're gonna give up that, but who knows the money that changed hands. That's all the behind the scenes stuff that we don't know about. Maybe Nintendo paid a hefty price to be able to keep that exclusive. It is bizarre. It is unfortunate. Playing Perfect Dark on the Xbox was it was kind of a dream come true, honestly. Playing Perfect Dark with friends from the 64, that's what I think everybody was kind of expecting. So this news is shocking and disappointing, really.
It's real quick, I got to shout out a good friend of the program, Kirby Zero Louise. He obviously is the developer, if you don't know who he is. And he says this after dropping a very generous $10 super chat. He says, it's exclusive to Switch because NetPlay is an emulator feature on NSO. Go check out Parsec's YouTube channel. I've heard of him. They have a tutorial on how to NetPlay on Xbox consoles. Well, that's very interesting. I will definitely check that out. The fact that it has to be backdoored, it's just
Xbox Connect. Who remembers, right? The OGs remember playing Halo 1 through Xbox Connect, right?
This is just lunacy. It's funny. This is just the kind of year Xbox players are having. Not only do we have no first party, and we understand why. Like it's not a meme. It's just it's funny. There's no first party. Great stuff coming into Game Pass. The last half of the year, which is awesome. But then the one game that we heard from the one franchise that Microsoft owns, getting the worst version of GoldenEye. Now, granted, like I said, I'm in the bag for 2 copies, folks. One I'm playing on Game Pass, which I'm gonna play through the single player because I really liked it. I don't know how much of the multiplayer I'm gonna say. That's not fake outrage. I would have tried it because I had some legendary matches with my brother and my friends back in the day. So I would love to run around as Oddjob or any of the James Bond characters from back in the days. So I'm going to get it on the Switch also because, well, I buy a lot of games on the Switch. I mean, I have over 100. I'm a Switch stan. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not even ashamed to admit it.
You won't have to
but
buy it on Switch if you have the expansion pack.
I have the expansion pack, so there you go. If it's free, and free, I'll take it. No doubt about it. And you know what's crazy? Josh, can you confirm something just to go off topic for a hot second?
Yeah.
I was watching the Direct, and
Yes.
they said that if you have the expansion pack, you didn't have to buy the Mario Kart
DLC, correct.
DLC. I bought it. I feel like I got robbed, bro. Like I've had the expansion pass since they announced it. I don't ever remember hearing that. Did I go over top of my mohawk?
It did, yeah. But the silver lining, if you will, is that if you decide that you don't need your Nintendo Switch Online anymore,
I have my I still have the thing. Yeah, it's true.
And so you'll have it forever. The same is true with the Animal Crossing DLC, the Splatoon 2 DLC. Yeah, I believe that's kind of it at this point. But
okay. I mean, listen, they want you to pay the money, and I will gladly pay it. Listen, let me get 2 super chats real quick before we bring in Daniel with this depressing opening salvo, if you will. Shooter. Oh man, listen, dude, it's so glad to see you, and it's not because of the super chat, brother. I know you've been having some trouble with the ticker. The fact that you're here is a load off my mind because I haven't seen you. I don't think I saw you yesterday. So thank you for the super chat. And he says this. Let me find it. Hold on just a second. Where are you, Shooter? There you are. He says, "Hey, Boom and Mrs. Boom, Daniel McGee and N64 Josh. Here's a small token of my way of saying thank you for what you all do." Well, thank you, brother, for what you do, because obviously you do a lot of super chats, and we are incredibly grateful for that. But also the fact that you're here. That's even more important. And we got another one that just came in from, and this is a good friend of the program, your baby's father, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "I read somewhere that Nintendo still owned the GoldenEye rights. It's a surprise that Xbox is getting it all." I actually read that as well. I don't know how true that is, but, well, you know what? It is what it is. Daniel McGee, let's get your opinion on this. GoldenEye finally out. Here we are. And we have heard from several people that, it's not coming to online multiplayer for Xbox, which is, again, kind of wacky. But the fact that the better version, it's going to be on the Switch, I just don't understand.
It's very strange. It's very strange for the multiplayer section of the game to be exclusive to the platform that has the least capability of doing multiplayer well is very strange. I think that it's almost certainly got something to do with rights. It's this is a game that we've known about for a really long time, and it's been in some kind of like confusion about when it's going to be shown, when it's going to come out. And so I think that honestly a lot of that waiting at this point, with hindsight, it seems like maybe a lot of that waiting was because maybe people were fighting about where this game was going to go, if anything was going to be exclusive to any other platforms, things like that. So I guess this is what the concession was for the game to finally come out. I'm not going to be playing the multiplayer of it on my Switch. I don't have the expansion pass, and I'm not going to buy it myself. But my history with GoldenEye is a little bit different, where I don't think I've played the single player of it because I never owned an N64. I was too young for it. I was a fetus when that came out, so I never got in on the N64. Although I have played a lot of it in the years since. But I think I've only ever played the multiplayer of 007. So I'd be interested to see what that campaign looks like when it comes to Game Pass. So I guess I'm still okay with the way it's been broken down, but it's just some really weird choices.
I agree. I mean, look, I suppose that if Nintendo does own the rights, which we're starting to hear more and more of, I suppose we're lucky we have it. I guess. I mean, I hope Microsoft didn't drop the bag on this, so to speak, because, I mean, yikes. Listen, it is what it is. It's disappointing that multiplayer is left off one of the better multiplayer places like Xbox, and that it's gonna suffer on Nintendo. It's Nintendo's. I mean, Nintendo Switch's online isn't as good as, let's say, a Dreamcast is. I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, I'm a Nintendo stan, so I could say that with full confidence. So I don't know. Heru G. He says no online WTF. Yeah, I'm right there with you, brother. It is a shocking revelation. But one that we're not going to spend too much time on because, well, there's only 3 of us, and I'm trying to get a couple people more in here. And more importantly, and just it is what it is. But we did have a couple more super chats come in, and Josh, thank you for throwing those in there, brother.
Absolutely.
We have Corbini Gaming. What's going on, Corbini? Long time, no time. Thanks for being here, and thank you for the generosity. He drops super chat and says, "Boom! My soul hurts about GoldenEye. Looking forward to a great show." Yeah, I'm quite disappointed. I so much so that I feel you ever get so disappointed about something and all you do is laugh. That's what's happening to me. That's my coping mechanism coming out for everyone to see. Drawn TJ, good and generous friend of the program. Drawn TJ, how the hell are you, brother? He drops a $5 super chat and says, "Hi guys, wish Bonnie Ross all the best. Indeed, I as well. But it's better that she is not in charge of Halo now. It can be great." We're gonna get into it. I just want to kind of throw this out there for everybody. I have a certain way of doing shows. And I'm very proud of the way I produce this content. One of the things that you will not find is dog piling. We're not going to be cursing. We're not going to be saying good riddance to bad rubbish or anything like that. I had a chance to meet Bonnie Ross at E3 2019. When I tell you, for someone in her position, she is absolutely incredible to speak with, but she's more so than that, unbelievably approachable. We had she's a executive, so I only got her for to speak with her for 5 minutes, but in that 5 minutes you can just feel the love for the brand emanating off of her. Like I said, look, as someone has put out in the socials that is dealing with my mom not being that well, she put out there for everyone to know that she is dealing with some family things. Now, I saw a lot of people trying to poo-poo that. Don't do that. Don't say that it's an excuse. Now, when I read what she had to say, she was leaving 343. She was leaving 343. That's a confirmed fact. She was leaving. But she said in the statement that she was hoping to be there through the winter update, and this situation with family kind of threw her for a loop. Okay, that's fine. I'm not here to judge. So we are going to cover that momentarily. But we do have one other story that I want to get to, guys. On the 15th of this month, Tokyo Game Show was happening, confirmed. And I'm looking forward to it for a multitude of reasons. But what's interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is we had gotten yesterday on the Xbox 2 podcast with good friends of this community and good friends of mine, for that matter, of course, Randall Thor and Jez Corden of Windows Central. And they put out there that there was a rumor that Phil Spencer was going to be in Japan. Well, we have confirmation that he is not only going to be there, but I have a suspicion that we're going to get some big announcements. Now, what those big announcements are, I honestly don't know. I'm going to throw some stuff out into the wind and see whether or not. Hold on a second. Let me see. Yeah, Web Dave, you can jump in with us, brother. If you're in there, I'm sending you the link to the Breakfast with Boom DM. If you want to jump in, by all means, brother, join us. That's awesome. So look, here's the thing. I didn't expect much from the Tokyo Game Show because, well, it's they're trying to break in to Japan. Now we know they've been there for years, but they haven't really done that good. So what are our expectations, right? Should we expect nothing? Should we expect the fact that Hideo Kojima is going to be there, and he just put out yesterday on social media that his chair would have said his name, like the director's chair, a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you follow him like I do. He had put out something to the effect, and I don't have it in front of me. I apologize for that. Just finished editing a trailer. Now, he didn't specifically say what trailer that was. I thought for sure that he had just finished editing the trailer for Gamescom. And of course, I wound up being wrong about that. Well, Tokyo Game Show is a couple of days away. He's going to be there. Phil Spencer is going to be there. We know that he's making an exclusive title for Xbox. I don't know, folks. I mean, is it 1 and 1 makes 17? I don't know. Web Dave, what's going on, brother? Thank you so much for popping in here and taking some time to hang out with us. We appreciate it. Now we have a party on hand. And Dave, we'll get to you momentarily.
No worries.
Daniel, let's get your opinion on this. Listen, a lot of people had low expectations for Gamescom, and I was one of them. Because, well, there's not a lot of great Xbox news. And it turns out that there were a ton of announcements at Gamescom regarding Xbox Game Pass. Now, Game Pass is already amazing, but months September, October, November, and December are going to be banger after banger after banger. And even though some of them are multiplats, folks, the exclusive is Xbox Game Pass, because we're just going to have to put the download button and we're good. If you're playing on Switch or you're playing on PlayStation, well, you got to spend the dough. Should we temper expectations, or should we maybe hope that we're going to get an announcement? Like maybe Phil comes up on the stage with Hideo Kojima and shows the trailer, but before he leaves, head of Sega comes out and says, hey, listen, we have a big announcement for Xbox Game Pass on November 8th. And now what is that? Sonic Frontiers Game Pass day and date. Wow, that would be big. And if they somehow can slap Sonic on the box for this holiday, I think that it's safe to say Microsoft could in fact win Black Friday, especially as if they throw some salt into the eyes of Sony. They raised their prices by $50. What if Microsoft were to announce that their pricing is $50 less just for the week of Black Friday? $450 Series X, $250 Series S, Sonic 3-month card in the box. Ladies and gentlemen, you have an effing party. What do you think, Daniel?
So I would say in terms of Black Friday, absolutely we should expect that. Like that's going to happen. They're going to lower those prices, and Black Friday is going to be a bloodbath, right? It's going to be, oh, well, do I want to pay what I guess now over $600 to get a PS5 and God of War Ragnarok, or do I want to spend, $200, get a Series S and Game Pass for a couple months? Like, it's going to be, I'm sure there's some people who will go one way and a lot of people who are going to go the other, and we'll see. TGS though, it's an interesting situation for Xbox in particular, because they've been at the last couple TGSs and they haven't been amazing. They've been sort of ramping it up slowly.
They've just been there basically. Yeah.
Last year we got some interesting things to talk about, but nothing really actionable. Like that was the year that Sarah Bond came out and said, like, we're partnering with a bunch of Japanese indie developers and stuff like that. So there's definitely things that are going to happen this year that we're going to be able to talk about on this podcast. I don't know necessarily if it's going to be a show that people would want to watch. You know what I mean? I think that we'll get one, maybe two interesting announcements. I wouldn't expect anything super huge. If Kojima is there and he put together a trailer, I'm struggling to think of what else it could be at this point, because like Death Stranding sort of run its course, and I unless he put a trailer together for his podcast, like I don't know what else it could be.
I mean, he said it. It's out there. I mean, you just have to look it up. He actually said, I just finished editing a trailer.
Yeah, and they didn't show a trailer for his podcast at Gamescom, as far as I'm aware.
They did not.
He definitely did something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I would expect Kojima to be there, because I mean, he said that he's going to be there. I think it feels way too early to be seeing his Xbox game. So who knows? The Sega thing you were talking about, that would be amazing. It's certainly another possibility. I think that what they're going to end up doing is, I don't know that we're going to get specific game announcements. I think that it's just going to be things that sort of affirm that Xbox is thinking about the Japanese audience and wanting to, say, hey guys, like PlayStation's prices just went up, or like something like that. We're going to lower our prices in this region because you just got kind of hoed by your number one, right? Like I think it's going to be more things that it's like making the Japanese audience feel welcome into the existing Xbox ecosystem. So I would temper my expectations a bit and then maybe end up being blown away instead of getting my expectations inflated and then being disappointed just because it was the same as it has been. You know what I mean?
You make a lot of sense. And that's actually probably the way I'm going to go at it, but I am excited now. I do want to, Josh, before we get to you, brother, I do have Phil Spencer's tweet in front of me, folks. I'm going to read verbatim from the official Twitter account of Phil Spencer. And he says this: spending this week in Japan visiting studios and publishers will be great to talk about games in development and get feedback on how we keep making progress with creators here. And at Japan Xbox_Japan. So it has been confirmed by Phil himself that he will in fact be there. Josh, listen, this has been a wacky year for a multitude of reasons, and we just talked about what to open up the show. I mean, like, mind explosion. But you know what? Real quick, I got to give a shout out. Hold on a second. Let me pull up the chat. I have it here. Oh, Umbra's here. Umbra, what's going on, brother? I bet you overslept, didn't you?
I did. I
know you did. I know. Listen, we appreciate you being here, brother. We will get to you in a second, but I want to thank Calorie in the chat, who's always here, usually one of the first ones. So thank you so much for being here. But this is what Calorie had to say. Don't be too upset about GoldenEye. The state of play this afternoon is going to be a bunch of third-party Japanese stuff, Silent Hill. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? That actually wasn't the one I was going to read. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get a God of War trailer. It's only 20 minutes. Temper your expectations for today. It is weird that Nintendo's was longer than Sony's. Like, that's bonkers to me.
Well, and Sony tweeted at Nintendo, gonna be a big day tomorrow.
Yes, I saw that. That was wild. I don't know who said it. Please throw it back into the chat. Apparently, if you own a copy of Rare Replay, this is GoldenEye is being added to it for free. So you don't have to buy the game, even if you don't have Xbox Game Pass. So if you own a copy of Rare Replay, that is going to be put in there, which I think is kind of cool. I mean, I'm still bugged out about the no multiplayer thing, but it is what it is. N64, Josh, what I mean, honestly, what are your thoughts on this? What I mean, do you think that Microsoft might have a card unplayed up their sleeve?
It would be great if they did for this year. Like,
Yeah.
it would be great if there was something, you know, and talking about the editing a trailer. I mean, in today's world, trailers can be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be gameplay. It could be text on a black screen that he threw together.
It could.
You know, describing,
Let's hope that it's not.
Describing something that's coming to Xbox, right? And people would probably still lose their minds because it's coming to Xbox.
It's Hideo Kojima. I know a lot of people think that, you know, he's overrated, and I hear you, folks. I love Hideo Kojima. I'd love to sit down and just have a cup of coffee with that dude. 20 minutes. Let's talk about it. You know,
I would love to sit down and do acid with him. But I mean,
you heard it here first. He wants to be tripping balls.
The door's open.
Because I figure that's the only way that man comes up with some of his ideas, right?
Like, you do know you're talking to a police officer, right?
I'm retired. I don't care what people do. Listen, as long as you don't hurt me and my family, I don't got to break out the 9.
No, but I mean, I'm honestly, there's very few. I don't know that I get excited about any of his games personally. But I understand the hype, and I understand that some people, like one of my best friends, loves anything that he puts out. So, yeah, give us something. Get the turn this year around. Start turning that ship around so that we can maybe end on a high note for Team Xbox. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. I think you're onto something. Listen, Web Dave, let's get your opinion on this. I mean, listen, Microsoft is in the rebuilding phase of Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
The East Asia market, which is something that, well, they haven't had really good success with. Now, there is one particular Hail Mary I'm going to throw to you. Okay, I said this to Kay Asante this morning, and he nearly fell out of his chair. And it's so outrageous. It is so ridiculous that I'm even saying it out loud. But you know what? Why the F not? I said if you really wanted to make if you really wanted to make a splash, if you wanted to stop the presses, so to speak, with the gaming media, you go and you announce that you are officially teamed up with the original creator of Lost Odyssey, and you are making a Final Fantasy VII esque remake of that game exclusive to Xbox. That's it. Just drop the mic and walk off the stage, because that's all anyone's going to talk about. I got goosebumps saying it. I don't know who loves Lost Odyssey like I do. That game was dope AF. I mean, my God, I loved it. It is probably one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. We've all been calling for a remake or even a remaster, but I figured, you know what? It's Microsoft, right? They have the money. Spend the money and get a Final Fantasy VII-esque remake. Even if it takes 3 years to do it, you have the blueprint. You just have to make a better looking game. I mean, what are you expecting, Dave?
Well, I definitely like your idea. I think that'd be great if that was something that was got announced. I do think that, obviously we want to temper expectations.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is going to be some really good information. I think that when this is all said and done, I think when we walk away from this, when Microsoft and Phil Spencer walk away from this event, we're going to feel a lot better about the future of Xbox and the Asian market. Also, just to throw this out there, Blue Dragon right now is on sale for $5 in the
Great
marketplace.
Game.
And it's such a great game. For $5, you can't beat it. Even if it's on Game Pass, it's still, I bought it just to have it. But yeah, I think that there is going to be some good announcements. I think that there is some. They have enough to talk about. It's been over a year, and I think they have some things that they can talk about. Now, will there be like some big, huge, marketing deal? Will it be some huge, acquisition coming up, or will it be some kind of crossover or tie or game? Who knows? But I guarantee you there is going to be some Game Pass announcements, because they've kind of set that back to this day. Like, just wait and see what's coming. I think there's going to be some good Game Pass announcements coming.
I think that's probably going to be
market.
the check mark conversation is what's coming to Game Pass. That's Japanese related, whether that be AA, AAA, single A, or even indie. And we know that they're working with over 200, different creators, whether that be big teams or not. I'm expecting some big things. Def Leppard, what's going on, brother? Welcome. He says Blue Dragon is my favorite JRPG of all time. Yeah, Blue Dragon
is great.
It looked so good. I don't know if it has any enhancements. Thanks, Dave. I'm actually going to go to the store. I mean, who doesn't want to buy a $5 Blue Dragon? I mean, like, freaking come on, man. Listen, Umbra, you got a chance to miss I don't know if you saw the big news, GoldenEye coming to the Xbox. And I don't know whether you got a chance to hear the shenanigans behind that, but guess what? The best version on Switch, multiplayer, exclusive to Switch. Thoughts?
It sucks. No online play for Xbox makes 0 sense.
Yeah, it's just
they may as well not even giving it to us if they're going to do that.
I agree. It is what it is. It's fine. I'm going to play a single player. I'm going to beat that. I just don't understand. But listen, let's bring you into the conversation when we're talking about Tokyo Game Show. What are your expectations, man? I mean, are Xbox gamers going to be surprised, especially when you start talking about Xbox Game Pass the same way a lot of us were taken aback by how with Gamescom expected to have little to no announcements because, well, Microsoft didn't really have anything. But for some reason, we walked away incredibly excited because, well, a lot of those games that were shown are coming to Xbox Game Pass. Should we expect something similar at TGS?
I think so. Just to a degree, at least. I mean, they already got the rumor that I shared with you that Phil would be there, at least maybe digitally, to speak on it. I think Microsoft it would be wise, especially with the consoles selling as well as they have been doing,
Yes.
to have something major to show off there. We already know also about the 200 plus partners they're working with over in Asia. So
Yep.
I think that'll pay off in some type of dividend. I don't know how big it'll be, but they're going to need something to rebound. I think, especially after the news today, and of course the situation, with Halo. So I think all of that's going to culminate. I think I'm hoping at least that we'll get some pretty big announcements. Another thing I noticed outside of the GoldenEye situation is Octopath Traveler 2 skipping us. I don't understand how that happened. I love.
Is that confirmed that it's not coming to us? What is it? Only
Yeah.
Sony and
Switch. Yeah.
Yeah,
There
I mean
could be
that's
an announcement on that. You just have to. You might have to wait until the 15th.
maybe.
I don't
Maybe
know,
because
it showed
that
PS4, PS5, and it showed Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
I don't see why they would ignore the Xbox.
that might be one of the announcements they're holding. I mean, look, if one came to the console, and it did, it was actually launched into Xbox Game Pass. I have a suspicion that it might be like a timed exclusive. I would imagine that it's going to be the Octopath Traveler was dope. I have it on the Switch and I have it on the Xbox. It's fantastic RPG. But it's again it's I want to see a world where when you look at the big three, Microsoft is in the same conversation for these types of games as Nintendo and PlayStation are. I think that is going to happen when the market leadership changes. And I remember, folks, I didn't say if. When the market leadership changes and Sony is in third place, because that is where they're going. Nintendo is going to be in second. And Microsoft is going to be moved back to first place for the first time in over a decade, folks. That is going to be the time where you're going to see, like, I think Beer Baron says, let's see what he says, Octo 2, Sifu, GoldenEye multiplayer, all skipping Xbox. Yeah, I don't care how gamers feel about Xbox taking games away. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, when you read the room and you hear about all of the shenanigans with the Sony players and even some of the Nintendo guys that I know were like, oh yeah, Microsoft taking away Call of Duty isn't really right. And then you see this and you say to yourself, well, I mean, what I mean, are we only reading one half of the room? Because I like to read the whole room for safety. I have always done it as a police officer. You got to read the whole room, not half the room. That's how you watch a six, even when you're by yourself, right? So this one looking through a keyhole where it's only about Call of Duty and Microsoft is ridiculous. And we have a topic that's going to get spicy. I have some things to say about good old Jimmy Boy and what I think Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius Spencer should do. I don't think they're going to do it, but of course I don't run a $3 trillion company, so they're not going to take my word on it. But I have some thoughts. But listen, folks, we got almost 400 people here. We have a full panel. You're getting a chance to see some really good gameplay from me. This is probably one of the best, 2-hour videos that I recorded. I was definitely taking names here. And I, of course, finished off one of my battle passes live on the air. We lost Umbra. We're going to get him back momentarily. He says his thing got disconnected. Okay, so listen. Let me timestamp this correctly because people like to yell when I don't have the timestamps correct. And I want to punch myself in the face when I don't because I have no reason for it. Listen, let's get into the big story, the lead topic story, or the lead block, if you will, if you like football. Bonnie Ross no longer is going to be the head of 343 Industries. This is something that a lot of Halo players have been calling for quite some time. Now, under her tutelage or leadership at 343 Industries, and she's been there for 15 years, folks, we have seen the launch of Halo 4, which had an incredible single player, not so incredible multiplayer. Halo 5 came out, and the bag of goods they sold us was not what was being, advertised in what's some of the best marketing I've ever seen. None of that Chief versus Locke thing ever happened. Chief got his visor broken, which is very disrespectful. And the single player was, well, I didn't really care for it at all. It took me years after the game launched to beat it. Multiplayer, though, was fire. Of course, the Halo Master Chief Collection. I mean, is it magnificent now? 100%. It is. It is leaps and bounds better than it was, but it was a bit of a basket case when it first came out. And then Halo Infinite, and like I said, folks, I stand by my review. I gave it a 10 out of 10. I think multiplayer and single player are just phenomenal. I had that feeling of Halo 3, my favorite Halo, and no longer my favorite Halo. That has been moved to second because Halo Infinite is one of my favorite of all time. You can't argue that the core gameplay is there for multiplayer. The single player, we need some content, folks. I don't understand why we don't have the content that they were supposed to launch each and every battle pass, but here we are. Let me bring up what she had to say, and of course, I'm talking about Bonnie Ross, and she announced yesterday on Twitter at 1 p.m. and she said this, folks. While I had hoped to stay with Halo until we release the winter update, I am letting you know that I will be leaving 343 and attending to a family medical issue. I'm incredibly proud of the work everyone at 343 Industries has done with Halo Infinite, the Master Chief Collection, the Halo television series, and so much more. It has been an honor to serve alongside the team for the last 15 years and be a part of a universe that I love. Thank you to everyone in the Halo community for your support. Halo's future is bright. I cannot wait for all of you to experience what we have in store and to cheer alongside you as a fan at the Halo World Championship in October. Axios, Bonnie Ross. Now, she had, I think there's a lot to unpack just in her statement, but I don't want to end it there because I do want to talk about Jez Corden's article. And of course, Jez Corden writes for Windows Central, and he broke the story. And we actually have the actual press release from Microsoft, and this is what they had to say. After more than 28 years in gaming at Microsoft, including 15 years leading 343 Industries and Halo throughout its most ambitious steps forward, Bonnie Ross will be leaving Microsoft and spending more time with her family. We are thankful for her leadership of 343, during which the team launched Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo the Master Chief Collection, the Halo TV series, and Halo Infinite. We wish her all the best. Head of production Pierre Hintz will become studio head effective immediately. The 343 team is hard at work shipping the winter update, which is the biggest Halo Infinite update since launch. Josh, I got to go to you first on this, brother, because this is big news. And what's even bigger about this is that her position at 343 Industries as studio head had a lot of other baggage attached to it that I myself didn't even know. And apparently, has been confirmed by Jez Corden of Windows Central, that her position is being split into 3 different positions. Now, that is very interesting, to say the least, because this is how they're breaking it down, folks. Studio veteran and production lead Pierre Hintz will become studio head of 343 effective immediately, leading the studio's ongoing development of Halo Infinite and the Master Chief Collection, as well as future games. The senior leadership team will expand with new roles, including Brian Koski, who will become general manager, or GM for short, of the franchise, and Elizabeth Van Wyk, who will oversee business and operations. So her position, Josh, that she held has now been split into 3. Now, look, again, this is not a dogpiling contest. If you have your theories and your thoughts and your opinions, I'm not going to start blocking people for it. I would say that please keep the tone to a low roar, because obviously that's the kind of content that I want to put out there. So if you feel that this was necessary, and I'm with you, I feel change that leadership is necessary, and they're making some big ones. How long is that going to affect? Well, we're going to break that down as to how long I think it's going to take before we see these changes come to fruition. But Josh, this is huge. And as someone that not only loves Halo, that someone that also has a Halo podcast, what are your thoughts on Bonnie Ross stepping down as head of 343 Industries?
I mean, first and foremost, I feel for her, right? Like dealing with family and illness and stuff like that. Like that is just, it's not fun. And we wish her the very best. And for whatever her family member is dealing with, we just hope for a quick recovery, and that that everything works out on that end. Yeah, gaming is business. Development of games is especially games of this magnitude, it's not something that's easy to do. If you guys want to like kind of a behind the scenes look, I like him or hate him, but Jason's book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, gives a pretty good peek behind the scenes of what game development's like, talking about games like Destiny and the Uncharted series, and seeing that it's definitely not, it's not an easy thing. And we know that Halo had a very bumpy development. We saw different different studio heads leaving during the development of this game, and now we're playing the results of what they were able to piece together or put back together or release. And so the fact that her position is being split into three is I would say is fairly telling. And hopefully moving forward, we're gonna see the Halo that we all want, that we've all hoped we would get all along. So the foundation for Infinite, fantastic. They've got a great foundation to build on, and like I said, we do wish her the very best.
Yeah, I mean, listen, look, folks, I'm a very transparent person. I think everybody knows that. I like being clear as glass because I want you to know what you're investing your time on. I take nothing for granted about the success I've had with the channel. It's out there for everybody, and everyone knows that I'm dealing with a mom that may not be around for the holidays. We don't know. It's day to day. So I understand that I'm here producing a show, but I'm at the hospital every day. And I'm there with her, and I'm, caring for her, with other family members. And I'm trying to run the channel, but I also got to run the household because my wife still works. So I can imagine, that's why I'm sympathetic to what she said. Now, granted, I can't say whether or not it's true, but I would never challenge that. That's not for me to do. So if she has to leave the studio because of family related issues, then that's sad. And I understand more than most because I'm currently dealing with that. But look, at the end of the day, I think we can all admit, by being fair gamers, being fair human beings, that monster changes had to come to 343 Industries. It has been a studio riddled with dysfunction for quite some time. Now, granted, I can't put a thumb on it because I'm not in the boardroom. I don't know whether this dysfunction comes from the fact that there are too many chefs in the kitchen, so to speak. And if that, in fact, is the case, well, now we know why things went awry. But for the most part, we've heard a lot of the issues come the way of these temps, these developers that come in for a set amount of time, and they can be hired. I think the way it was explained to me is they can get hired, let go, hired, let go, hired, and after the third time they don't get hired again. This is like lunacy. Like I'm going to be honest with you. I know that she's stepping down, but there's a much larger hierarchy, and I'm talking about Phil Spencer. I'm talking about Aaron Greenberg, where we have to understand this is your flagship title. Halo is Xbox. Xbox is Halo. I don't sometimes understand how we got here, but they are making some big changes, and I'm very happy that these changes are coming. Now, some people will ask, and I'm going to go to Daniel on this, is it too late for Halo? Are people going to go like this and throw their hands up and just and never come back? Well, that's not going to be me, because I have 12 days in Halo Infinite. And I can't wait for the new season, which I thought was going to be coming soon, but now I have to wait till March, which is not really cool. But what am I going to do? I'm not going to start flinging F-bombs. What are your thoughts on what's going on at 343? Did leadership need to change, Daniel?
Leadership absolutely did. I don't know how. Like, here's the thing, right? 343 hasn't been doing a good job, and
Right.
I think we all know that. We've all said that on this channel before. And so I understand that we probably did need somebody else heading up that studio. But my overwhelming reaction to this, seeing how other people have been reacting to it online, is I'm just so disappointed in people. Like, there's so many people who are, on Twitter, literally singing "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead," who are going on talking about, oh, now Halo can finally be good again. And this is a woman who is stepping down from a job that she loves so that she can go and take care of a family member who is presumably doing very badly. Right. And
Yep.
the just absolute lack of human empathy that I'm seeing online is not surprising.
It's disgusting.
But
Did you see the
horrible.
one where they yelled at her and said, while you're in the house that's burning down, did you read the cookbook or something stupid like that?
So
Like,
it's just absolutely
Jesus
ridiculous.
Christmas, folks. Come
And
on. I mean, she's a human being. Let's have some decorum.
I saw that one. That
It's
was terrible.
disgusting. People are just shit. I'm sorry, I don't like the curse, but people
No,
are just
you're right.
straight up shit.
It's just so disappointing to me because, like, I understand people being upset, but at the end of the day, like what did she do wrong, right? Is a couple of video games came out and they weren't what you wanted, right? It's like, those are video games. This is a human being. Like, we need to make that separation. I understand that you can be disappointed in Halo and you can voice that, and there's no problem with that. But this is a real person going through some real things, and you need to be able to, like, understand that is more important. Like,
I agree.
It always will be.
Well said, Daniel.
So if you're one of those people who is, like, taking shots at her while she's on her way out the door, just take a step back, observe the situation, understand that what you're doing is not okay. And then if you continue to do it, then I hope you sit on your balls because you're not a good person. Right. Like,
I love it.
Sorry.
No. I mean, listen, I like what you're putting down. And I think that, one of the things that we lose, and I wait, hold on a sec. Let me back that up. We don't do anything. I don't lose my sense over gaming. One of the biggest things that people do is lose their sensibility about the human element. And that is what we're seeing now. I get it. She's leaving. And is it going to be for the betterment of 343 Industries? Well, we can't honestly say that yet because, well, she just left yesterday. And obviously she's leaving under, a lot of criticism for sure that, again, she as the leader has earned the righteous smoke, so as they say, but at the same time, we have to understand that she's a human being, folks. And, listen, she's the leader. She took the arrow. She's stepping down. Okay, so let's move on. And let's hope that the next person in charge, which I have his qualifications here. And let me bring that up. His name is Pierre Hintze. It's Hintze. I'm probably saying it wrong. And this is what he has on his LinkedIn. And he says this about Pierre. Product development executive with 20 plus years of experience shipping successful game developed projects, most recently focused on a games as a service, GaaS for short, and AAA products. He's a strategic leader with proven ability to identify growth opportunities, who take pride in enabling his team to be successful, passionate gamer who has developed and shipped products across major platforms. And I just want that to be pointed out for a hot second because, like Phil Spencer, Daniel, he is a gamer. Now, I don't know what Bonnie Ross, how many games she actually played, but she she was a very standard, executive. She's good with the monies. She's not a quote unquote gamer like a Phil Spencer or like a Pierre. I think having Pierre in this spot, well, he knows what we want because he probably wants it himself.
Yeah, I mean, at least hopefully, right? It's yeah, I don't know Pierre Hintz. I'm sure that he'll do at least a good job, hopefully a great job in his position. Theoretically, they wouldn't have put him in it if they didn't think he was capable of it. But it's disappointing to see one of the only prominent women in the games industry be. I mean, obviously she's leaving on her own accord, but feeling like she's being bullied out of the industry is just it really rubbed me the wrong way yesterday. Like I made me so angry. I was at work and I was just fuming about something that nobody else at my work cared about because they're not gamers. But it was, it's this thing. And, people who are thinking that this is going to fix Halo, it might in the long run, but switching the pilot mid-flight is not like it's gonna get worse.
It's gonna take time,
right? Like the next couple of updates, those are not going to be things that Pierre is going to have his hands on. So if when the next update comes out or the next roadmap comes out and it's still disappointing, maybe just like leave Pierre alone. He just sat down. Like right. He didn't do it.
I mean, look, I'll say this, chat and panel. We know for an absolute fact that whatever's coming out in the winter update is going to be all Bonnie Ross under her leadership. I can't specifically say what if in fact Pierre is going to be directly involved in the lead aspect of the following update for 2023. But I am going to tell you that he has been at 343 Industries for 4 years, 8 months, almost 5 years. He worked at PlayStation as a director of product development from 2013 to 2016. He worked as an executive producer at Square Enix from September 2012 through February 2013. He was only there 6 months. So he also has worked for Electronic Arts. It doesn't say what specifically he did, but he was there for over 6 years. Let's bring in Web Dave. Now, Dave, you obviously, we know what to expect from the keyboard cowboys, or as I like to call them, keyboard cowards, who like to say really, egregious things, and of course, make another account when some people call them out on it, or shut their social media accounts down because, they're cowards. Where do you personally fall with this, shuffling of management at a studio? I mean, folks, let's call a spade here, folks. Okay, 343 Industries is the most funded studio at Xbox Game Studios. Yep. They have the most talent in any one location at 343 Industries. So listen, changes had to be made. Dave, big changes are coming. What do you expect these big changes to deliver?
Well, just backtrack slightly. Whether, her demise was imminent or pre-planned and then this rushed it forward, or if this is just, family member got sick, legitimate, and it's time, and she needed to be there for her family. Totally respectable, understandable position. Love it or hate it, she helped keep Halo alive, period. From Microsoft. And the thing I take from this, it's not okay, she's gone. There are people out there that were calling for her to be removed for years now. Well, okay, people, you've gotten your wish. Right. Now let's see what's going to happen, because whether it was her doing it or somebody else, pushing her toward that, in the long run, she is going to be she's a legend in the Halo community, and I know there's a lot of people that blame her because of her position, but she really did take the reins and keep the franchise going, for good or bad. But we wouldn't have, you know, Halo Infinite to this day if it wasn't for her in that position. And there's nothing you can say to deny that. That's just
Mm.
the way it is. But you know, if she was the problem, whatever. It's now we're going to see what really happens.
Yeah.
So there's no excuses anymore. There's no if in a year or 2 years it's still bad and still unfixed, then we'll know that there's other problems besides just her. If it gets fixed and gets underway, then maybe that was her leadership and the way she was guiding it, and then takes the time to get the results out, because nothing happens overnight in gaming. Nothing. No matter how much we want it, it's going to take 2 to 3 years for something to get implemented. Usually, if it's something that they can, especially with this engine, they've tweaked it, so now they feel pretty good about it. When you play Halo, like what you got on the screen, I mean, the multiplayer, it's
It's
great.
fire, dude. It's
Yeah.
so freaking good. Like, it's
And in the
so
single
freaking
player
good.
campaign was absolutely, I loved it. I
Me
was,
too.
it was like, to me, it was like, wow, this is
It's the
Halo's
Halo I
home.
always wanted, Dave.
Exactly. And I loved the addition to the grappling hook. Some people didn't, but I'm like, dude, this has just really added another element to the game.
I'll tell you this right now: you'll never be able to play another Halo game without the grappling hook.
Yeah, you won't want to. It'd be like, oh, I'm
Hashtag
missing
facts.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things going on, and yes, in the long run, do I wish the game was absolutely complete? Like if it didn't come out until like 2 or 3 years after the system came out, and then like, but it would have been, everything would have worked. That probably would have been fantastic. But the Halo name is a system seller, and for what we did get, it was pretty good. But
Yeah.
but yes, there's because I mean I don't know why there's not more maps. I mean I understand some parts of it, saying that, well, like with the implication, excuse me, okay, I got that word wrong, but of the grappling hook, that it's that those older maps, you'd be like, whew, you go right out of them, and if we weren't careful, they have to definitely set up and work to make those more practical for that ability to be implemented. And I get that, but I don't know. It just seems like they could, you know, Blood Gulch and some of the original, Sidewinder. Those maps were legendary, and then they're like, it just seems like they could put them out, but we'll see, But
Yeah.
now there's no excuses. Now there is absolutely, Joseph Staten has, there you go, buddy. It is all
Have at
you.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you talked about your next, the next time we sit down with him, I guess sometime late November or December, whenever they, release their next little update. Um, you know, we better have some good direction. And then next year, middle of next year, into next year, if it's in the same state it is now, then you can just, shut down the team and let's move on.
Well, I think that's the thing, though, Dave. I don't think we're going to really see anything significant until next year.
I would say that and you know what? Let's bring you in on the conversation, Umbra. Look, obviously, big changes are coming to a studio that is one of the most funded, and it's one of the more larger teams at Xbox Game Studios. That again, that's the actual fact. That's not even me trying to be finger pointy or anything. They are one of the flagship studios. Halo Infinite. Halo is one of the most iconic, recognizable characters in gaming. The fact that we have not had a quote unquote banger like Halo 3, and that's a lot of people. Like I said, if you ask me about how I feel about Halo Infinite, well, it's my favorite Halo of all time. But the truth of the matter is that you need consistency. And I think when you start talking about games as a service, or free to play games, you need to be up to date with your content. Gamers are going to expect a new battle pass every 3 months. Every 90 days, you're supposed to be ahead of the curve. Why they're not? We know why they're not, because they're having some monster issues in-house, which are being taken care of. Umber, where do you fall on Bonnie Roth stepping down? And where do you personally feel the team is going to be in maybe, let's say, a year from now?
Well, I'm going to say this. I know it's a tricky subject, right? I guess now because of the family situation. And just to go on record, of course, I wish her and her family the best as well. I wouldn't try to get here and try to deny that that's the truth or anything like that, because, I don't, that's just a terrible slippery slope to go down. And I saw a lot of people raising that question online. I think it's just misplaced, because I think our nature is to want to know, the actual truth behind whatever. Even if we're getting the truth, it may not seem like it's something that's actual, because people are so distrusting. I remember when we had that situation with Drew, I believe Drew Murray, who went back to Insomniac, and he said there was a family situation before actually joining up with them too. And I saw people mention that. I think we go the wrong way when we go that way. So two things can happen here. And I also saw someone react in a way where they said, well, we just give it a time. Don't talk about this, her leaving and, her leaving 343 and all that. And I came in there because they were going back and forth with Dealer. And I just said, we can do both. We can and will do both. It's just going to happen. There's nothing you can do about that. How we do it is, respectfully is what matters. I'm not going to go in here and start talking negatively about her as far as her family and situation goes, and say that she's using it as a scapegoat or whatever to get away from things. What I will talk about is that this absolutely needed to happen. And we had been talking about this for a long time. A lot of us, you know what I mean? Yourself, myself, we've been talking about this for a long time. Halo Infinite is great. It's just not a great live service game, unfortunately. That's the problem.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah.
And again, we've said it before. Boom. Heavy is the head, that that the crown on the head, right? So she's the head. It had to fall back on her in some way, whether anyone believes that or feels that is just the way it should have went or not. And a lot of people conflate it and try to say, well, it's a woman thing. She's a woman. It's not about the gender.
It really shouldn't have anything to do with that at all.
Exactly.
That's preposterous.
Yeah, it shouldn't have anything to do with that. And people need to stop using that as a way to either defame or defend. It's just a matter of things went south with this franchise under her watch one too many times. And listen, I know the Halo fan base is almost impossible to please. We've said this, we all know it. We know it to be true.
They're comparable, dude, to like the Star Wars fan base.
Just about comparable, I would say.
There
just
you go.
Slightly under them, if anything. I've always said that. Just slightly maybe under them. There's nothing you can do to please everybody. It's always going to be something that somebody's going to be complaining about. But what I will say is that Halo Infinite had its obvious issues, and it still does. And at the end of the day, boom, and fellas, it does. It falls back on the head. And I'll say this. I was listening to Jez and Rand talk the other day, and Jez was saying he feels like maybe a lot of this is being scapegoated on to Bonnie.
Yeah, he said that in a tweet. Let me I'll find Jez's tweet on this. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he mentioned that, and I'll let you give you time to get to it. But I'll say something else just to say that until you find it. It has to fall on more than just her, but no, I wouldn't say anybody below her necessarily. So when they showcased the game some years back, and we saw it, and we were all like, oh, happy because it's Halo. And then we actually took a deeper look and was like, oh, that doesn't look as good as I wanted it to look. One of the first thoughts I think all of us had were, how did you all let that get out like that? How did that happen? How did you allow this game to be presented this way? So when I look at that, I start to think, Matt Booty, what have you been doing that you allowed this? You saw this? You saw this and you were like, oh yeah, good, plus thumbs up. Now I have a little question about your what you're doing. Now I worry about you now. Same thing goes to Phil, unfortunately. Phil is less so. It's more Matt Booty to me. because that's his specific job over the studios. But it would be, to me, if I had to look, it'd be slight slack on Phil, more on Matt Booty, and the greatest on Bunny. Unfortunately, it's just the way it had to be. So I'll say I wish her well as far as things go. I know she's going to land on her feet, and she deserves the flowers too. She did fight for Halo to stay here on Xbox, and she fought for them to get it and to form their own studio for 343 for the franchise. So I don't want to take anything away from her. If we did a look at her history and everything like that, we'd be celebrating her. She deserves that love, but we also have to be critical when it's necessary too, and she earned that as well. However, it all came to be to what it is. I just think that at the end of the day, you're going to have to go to the head person who allows so much of it under them. However, it may have been the case, whoever it may have really fallen on. At the end of the day, we're all looking at the head of the person, because we on the outside looking in, we can't pinpoint whomever it is. And look, and ultimately we know we're right because Phil and team ultimately decided the same. Obviously it's more PR than anything when she just says, well, I was going to leave anyway. I can say that much I'll say that's probably PR spin right there.
Yeah.
But as far as her family, I'm pretty sure that's legit. I don't want to take that away and make that some negative. We shouldn't go that way with it. But yeah, I think Phil and team saw it too. And he just saw like, yeah, it has to be a change. And, with the leadership they have now in place, and like you pointed out, Boom, they split it into 3 different positions. Maybe that was really what the problem was. Maybe she
too much on her shoulder.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, wow, wait, 3 different things. No wonder she couldn't try to pay attention to this. She's doing 3 different jobs. So maybe that was really what it came down to. So let's see. And like I said, it'll probably be a year or 2 before we really see some real major changes. That's the unfortunate part. And it's something that Staten and team have been pushing, is saying basically we're going to be updating this thing as it goes along, and we're going to try to get it correct. It's going to be like an MCC situation, basically.
Yeah, it could very well be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the thing about it, right, is it's like, I agree that they needed to have a big change in the leadership at 343, right? The content was good, but just not coming out fast enough, right? Like it was just something about that pipeline was not working. And I understand people complaining about that and speaking about that. I think it goes a bridge too far, and no one on this panel has done this, but I think it goes a bridge too far when you start calling for somebody's job. Like
anytime you want to see someone fired, you should punch yourself in the face, because you know what? People have to pay bills and have families to take care of. Don't ever wish someone gets fired. That's gross. That's inappropriate at any conversation. No, I mean, listen, Dan, you good stuff. Listen, let's welcome in OBM. Obviously, One Bad Mother on loan today for a few minutes from Xbox Era. I know those guys are going to charge me. I'm gonna tell them the check's on the way. I know they love sending me the bills.
Boom. I always appreciate it, man. Whenever I got time, I love coming and talking. With you guys.
I have a couple of super chats to get into. I will catch up to them, but Lady Foxfire, one of my favorite people in the community. I know her for years. She's absolutely amazing. She drops a $2 super chat and says, thank you for always updating us on the latest news. Thank you. It's a pleasure. And yes, folks, I'm going to be streaming 5 days a week moving forward. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. You're going to get an extra Xbox Factor podcast on Mondays. I polled the community both privately and publicly, and it was a roaring, hey, we like the extra content. So you're going to be getting that extra show each and every week. The first show on Monday is going to be about 70 minutes, same as X-Vlog Live. You'll get 2 or 3 topics, but you're going to get an extra show, 5 shows Monday through Friday, starting, well, it's in my 4th week doing this, so I've gotten so accustomed to it that, it's given me something to do, as well as my personal business, which I handle with no problem, as well as taking care of my home while Mrs. Boom still works. So I like being busy, and I like talking with this community, and here we are. But we also have Drawn TJ. Wow, Drawn TJ. He drops a very generous and ridiculous $20 super chat and says the new head of 343 saved MCC. Now we can save Halo Infinite. By the way, if I'm Phil, I say to the FTC and the UK, look what we offered, 3-year extension, and they don't want after 2024. Call of Duty will only be on Game Pass. Yeah, we're gonna actually that's the last topic. I got something to say to Jimmy Boy about his arrogance, and he's not gonna like it if he's listening to the show. Wolverine or Double X Wolverine Double X. There's a new channel member. Well, thank you so much, Wolverine. Definitely appreciate that. He drops a $2 super chat and says, "Long live the chief." Indeed, for sure. Listen, as someone who is like Josh or N64 Josh, like Infinite Umbra, like Daniel, myself, even Web Dave, we're all huge Halo fans. What are your thoughts on this big announcement? I mean, you have a Halo show as well. You had me at Halo, and this is big news. Is it the news that 343 needed?
So I guess I'll have to step back on that a little bit, Boom, because I always think, you know me, I can never just give you a quick one-word answer. We always got to circle the wagons a little bit, right? And by the way, so I am on my lunch break right now, so that's why I'm going
to come in at, well, look at what time, 1:17.
Yeah. And I'm going to stay off camera just because, it is during the workday. So, I'll be incognito. But, the first thing I want to do, like with Bonnie Ross, like if we want to just, talk about her for like a minute before we kind of move forward. Always like to start by, recognizing, some of the positives. And I think, I heard Eternal mention the fact that, she was the one that really fought for Halo, for them to have a studio that, internal studio that was going to support Halo and not just outsource it. They, I think the stories are all pretty public now that they, that they did. They probably would have gone with Gearbox as an outsource, but we've already seen that when it comes to big franchises, it's a lot harder to kind of take care of that stuff. So always appreciate that, and it's really been the reason why I've stayed on this platform. Back in 2013, when Don Matrick was, looking at the camera and telling us, "Hey, you can all go stay on Xbox 360 if you don't like what I'm saying," and we're all looking at each other like, "What the F did he just say?" That whole moment, and I was ready to kind of jump ship too, but I was like, you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, this is where Halo's at, and for in that time, there's been positives and obviously some opportunities, right? Some missed opportunities, but a lot of people did like the Halo 4 campaign. Me personally, I played Halo 5's multiplayer for over 2,000 hours, so obviously I really liked that. And I felt like with Infinite, they were able to get both in terms of the gameplay loop, the feeling, the tone. I think they recaptured their identity, and they have something pretty special, I think, coming up here with the Forge. So there was a lot of positives that came, but it's well documented. There's been a lot of opportunities, and right now, the game is failing the live service pretty badly, right? And I don't think there's like a whole lot of debate within the community about that one aspect. The thing with Bonnie, though, and this is kind of the one thing I kind of warn people, is like there's this assumption that as soon as you change that one position, everything is going to be better, different. There's a lot of challenges over that really, when people say, we have to hold the top accountable, I don't disagree with that, but the thing I would say is that she wasn't at the top with a lot of those, with a lot of the decisions. She actually fought to have Halo 4 be a Xbox One launch game, and above her pushed back against that. They, and she kind of, not even indirectly, kind of said she still wishes they were able to do that. Wanted more time to work on the engine. Then Halo 2 was supposed to be just a remake of Halo 2 because they had rushed out Halo 4. the upper management, they kind of basically kind of created a snowball there where now they needed that to be bigger, and they didn't have the resources, so they had to outsource it. And some of the outsourcing really messed up, especially with the net code. I talked to somebody about who was there who basically said that, they outsourced things, and some of the solutions that from the outside were people that weren't capable, and really it's like one of those trying to basically trying to kind of do something like that on the fly, obviously backfired big time, right? And then, there was a lot of issues with the engine, and that was known for a long time. And I know that she wanted to work on that was something that leadership there wanted to prioritize the engine before Halo 5 launched. But again, they were pushed. They had to hit that 2015 date. And I even remember listening to an interview with Josh Holmes when he left, basically saying, hey, this thing got, we had a bigger scope to this game. You can see it in parts. We had to cut a lot back, they didn't get to work on the engine at all, and it was always very difficult for creative. So a lot of times, there's this like assumption that like when things aren't going fast enough, or there's big challenges that, it's fair. I look at it as a sports fan, right? Like generally as a sports fan, when my team's not winning, I want a new GM and coach, but it comes down to the owner too, right? It's about them building the right, minor league systems. It's about them giving the right budget. There's a lot of aspects to, to winning that sometimes, you put your people in tougher situations or better situations. And obviously Xbox under the Meyerson era, we know had this was probably the most Microsoft-esque studio, which was under the thumb of Microsoft, and was, under they relied a lot on contractors over that period of time. And because of that, they kept compounding mistakes or issues, and we're seeing even that some of that today with, the fact that they're like that game engine got held together with like spaghetti string and duct tape, and like
say duct tape.
Basically, you're gonna fix everything with duct tape. And the problem is, like, not only was it held together like that, but it was put in place by people that were not staying, by support studios and contractors. And again, this was like Microsoft's reliance on contractors to work around their headcount issues. And so, like, then we moved to Halo Infinite, and they're like, okay, finally, this is now Microsoft under Phil, and they're like, we're going to give you time to put together a game engine, and so they started to do that. But again, they still had a lot of contractors there. And obviously COVID hit, and so I do think there's a perfect storm. Now, it's not to say that she's blameless. Obviously, there's also creative, issues. It over 4 and 5, right? There's people that, again, on record to say, like, there's disagreements, maybe too many cooks in the kitchen, like disagreements on whether 343 was going to go, away from the old identity, or try to forge their own, new identity or not. And I think they finally got that right with Infinite, from a creative standpoint. Most of the complaints before were based off of that. It was more the game design, right? From multiplayer or the story and the campaign. So, like, it's not that she hasn't made mistakes, but I do think that, over the course of 10 years, AAA development has changed a lot. The expectations for AAA games has gone up significantly. The scope of Halo now as a live service is much bigger than it was when 343 started with Halo 4. And in addition to that, they branched out. They do a lot more. They do a lot more on the media side now. They have a show. And she's sitting there over top of all that. And again, you guys just called this out, but the fact that they replaced her with 3 people kind of is just, is an acknowledgement to me that the scope of 343 is just that much more significant. And so, I think I would just say that I think she definitely deserves some flowers for keeping the franchise at Microsoft, for keeping them invested in AAA studios, because who knows if they even go buy the Gears license, after that, because they were basically getting rid of a lot of their internal development, that cutting back on that under Meyerson and everybody else. So I think there's a lot of positives there as well, but obviously, yeah, they overall, they're not equipped right now for a live service, and they needed to restructure, and I think the people they're bringing in, there's some exciting aspects to that. The fact that you do have the person that helped revive MCC. The fact that that there's a lot of decisions they made to regain goodwill with the community with MCC that were not always financial decisions. Sometimes it's like, we're just going to do this thing because it's going to make our customers happy. It's not going to make us a lot of money. And I think they're kind of in this similar boat now. It's like, you just got to win back the confidence of the customers, and the people they brought in, I think, are right. I think Staten's right from the creative standpoint. He understands the identity of the game. And so I think there's a lot of exciting things to look forward to, or hope. Maybe I should say that, because I think right now it's not a short-term turnaround, but I think there's a lot of reason for hope in the future. But it's probably going to take time, right? Because restructuring a large company is something. Generally the behaviors, the results you get from the change of behaviors, the change of structure, the change of strategy, and change of behaviors, there's going to be a lag with that. There's going to be a delay. Fortunately, we have some Forge coming soon, so that might maybe slow any bleeding or give them time to kind of change around everything else. But yeah, so I look at it both ways. A couple of things, and I think people in the community too, I see a lot of heated discussions. I think you can be on both sides. I think you can give Bonnie the credit that she deserves.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
For kind of sitting in there. And this is not, and I remember she did an interview and it was said this, and this all made sense. Like, she was told by other executives, you don't want to take that job. You're going to be under Microsoft. You're going to be in impossible circumstances, to live up to Bungie, to, this franchise. This is not a job, and she's, she kind of took that on head on, and I absolutely want to give her credit for that. But then on the flip side, I don't think it's necessarily being, rude or toxic to say, hey, I'm excited about, the fact they're finally restructuring, because I think even if she would have stayed, they would have needed to restructure. They would have needed to bring in help. The fact that we had, the 2020 demo went up and it got by everybody. It's like, yeah, there was communication. We heard Jez say that there was communication gaps there from Chris Lee upwards, but at the end of the day, you would hope that there's somebody in position to go, wait a second, no, we can't.
Well, that's what I said earlier.
Yeah,
that's like, how do you allow that? Even if you go past Chris Lee not communicating something, as a studio head, do you not look at that? Do you not say,
how do they get past everybody?
Yeah, how do Matt Booty? That's why I said Matt Booty too. Like, like, oh yeah,
there's a lot of. I will say this, and we do have a big topic. We only have 30 minutes left of the show, so I kind of want to move it forward. There is something to be said about a lot of finger pointing. This goes, this goes all the way up to the top, folks. But Matt Booty, he's got to get some smoke for this. Everyone's got to get some smoke for this. This is your flagship title. If you feel that you got to ask more questions to find out what exactly the H is going on, then you ask more questions. But I have a strong suspicion that again, I agree. I don't think that this gets fixed in 6 months. I think you're going to see. I think what saves Halo is Forge. I think the community is going to be the one to actually save the game regarding when it comes to multiplayer maps. I think that the community is ridiculously talented, and we're going to see maps. We've already started to see them where it's going to blow your mind, and I think we're all going to be playing on those games. But that in itself is our podcast for another day, because if it is the community that you don't pay to do this development is the one saving your billion-dollar franchise, there are more questions to be answered at a later date. Though I do want to move on to the last topic of the show. And this is the big one, folks. I'm going to just throw the question out there. I believe everyone's going to have a very detailed, different, response to this, but it's still a question that I want to talk about. And, obviously if you saw the actual posting for this show, I asked a question, should Microsoft pull that 3-year extension offered to Jim Ryan and PlayStation after the way he responded publicly? He threw Phil Spencer underneath the bus. He obviously is doing this because, well, he's doing anything to hold his position. I would imagine that there's going to be some big questions to be had on whether or not he goes the way of the dodo if they don't have any concessions added to Call of Duty. When this deal is done, and you remember hear what I said: when the deal is done, not if the deal is done. The deal's getting done. Microsoft has not done anything illegal, and they're not boxing out the competition, considering that Sony just posted a 56% increase. Oh yeah, Josh had the bounce, so we'll do his outro when we're done. They just announced in the UK where the CMA is, and they're the ones that had the biggest problem with worrying about Sony's number one position. Well, they just posted a 56% increase in sales and sales for consoles. So I think Sony's going to be okay with or without Call of Duty because they posted that in a month where Call of Duty did not come out. Call of Duty doesn't come out until October. So I don't understand. But here's the question, and I'm going to go first to Daniel. We heard what Jim Ryan had to say. He called the deal that was sent to him in written format by Phil Spencer in January inadequate for his gamers. But the last I checked, good old Jimmy Boy could give a flying F about Xbox gamers because, well, their whole business practice is holding content from Xbox gamers. I mean, do I have to read the list again of how many games are still not on Xbox? Do I have to pull up the receipts on how many Call of Duties had exclusive content to PlayStation? Is Zombies currently on Vanguard for Xbox? It is not. And it's probably not happening until maybe October. Maybe it's a 2-year extension. So Zombies, something that launched in Call of Duty proper, is locked behind the PlayStation. So this is where I get aggravated when I hear people say, well, they need to have a lockdown deal. I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm running Microsoft and I get a response from Jim Ryan like that, you know what I say? Okay, you want to be a D-bag? I could be a D-bag too. This is what we're going to do. 2024 is the last day that Call of Duty is going to be on your console. Sorry. Tough titting. What are your thoughts, Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, I think it's just really funny that Phil Spencer went out of his way to make this offer to Jim Ryan and PlayStation. Like there was no reason he needed to. No one had required it. It's possible that one of these trade commissions will at some point require them to, extend how long Call of Duty goes on game or goes on PlayStation, but they hadn't yet. So the fact that Jim Ryan sort of threw it back in Phil's face is like, it's like Dudley Dursley, right? Where he's like, last year I had more presents. What's this? It's not enough. And it's like, okay, well, like you could have had nothing. So I don't know. I don't think that they'll like take the offer back. I don't think they'll be like, oh, well, you didn't want that. Well, it's off the table. I think that Xbox is playing this game where they're trying to look as nice as possible and amicable as possible so that the FTC doesn't ask for certain things. And so if they're already out here being like, well, we offered them to keep it on their platform and they said no, like we made all the, like we've been doing everything right, then I think it just makes them look better to trade commissions. And I think that's their entire purpose here. If I was Jim, I would have just taken the deal because I don't think it's going to get better than that for him.
No, I think what he's trying to do is have Microsoft painted into a corner. And why I get aggravated at this is because it is balls of steel-esque to not be the company that's investing $70 billion into Activision Blizzard King to then want to dictate to the owners of of said franchise how we should dole this out. Well, like I said, you're right. I think they're gonna say, well, listen, we're only offering the 2027. If you want us to put it in put it on paper that we keep it there, and the commissions feel like they did something, that's great. But otherwise, I don't think anyone actually has a effing leg to stand on. Umbra, let's bring you in on the conversation. Jim Ryan shocks the world where he throws Phil Spencer under the bus. And I was actually, like many gamers, waiting for a rebuttal from Phil Spencer this week. But obviously the big news this week is Bonnie Ross is leaving. That obviously takes precedence over a rebuttal. I still think that it's coming. I think it's going to be nasty. How do you handle this? Do you pull this offer and say, all right, you know what? You didn't want the deal. Now you're good to 2024.
If it was me, Boom, we spoke about this.
Well, you're greedy. You want everything like me. I hear you. I hear you.
If it was me, I would be petty as hell. I would call petty Phil, because I would absolutely be like, oh, you didn't like that offer, huh? Well, here's the new deal. So it's either two things. It's either one or two things. I love this one. It would be the case where now I'm going to raise the price now. As our good brother Everborn would say, yesterday's
charge them more.
price.
Hashtag charge them more.
Charge them more for one, and I'm going to charge them more. So it'll be today. Yesterday's price is not today's price. I'm going to use his slogan that he got from hip hop. Today's price is not yesterday's price anymore. So now that's going up. So either you're going to pay this new price, which they will, or you won't get it. And now I left the decision in your hands. So now that I've charged you this, I've given you I think a fair pricing that it's not really fair. I'm going to be really petty. It's going to be really exorbitant, but I'm going to call it fair. Well, we gave you all a chance to get it on your platform. This is our offer here. All you have to do is pay the fee, or I'll just flat out withhold it. And I would have been petty for sure, because we know that if PlayStation would have gotten it, they would have been petty. So yeah,
they would have immediately announced it wasn't coming ever to Xbox.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't. There's no question. They didn't have to even announce it. That's the crazy part. When they had to announce the situation with Bungie and how they would go forward, that shocked people. That was like, what?
That came from Bungie. Like Bungie was like, yeah, we're not signing the deal unless we're doing it our way.
True, but
that's because you know why that happened, Umbra, because PlayStation was desperate. That's why that happened.
Yeah, I imagine. I imagine so. And I think too, so I'll go kind of realistic with it. And I think part of the reason why Sony did it, outside of maybe desperation and wanting to get that games as a service type thing going for themselves, because the multiplayer for them just has not been hitting like it has on Xbox.
No,
is the fact that they know they also have to rely on Xbox in that way. They'll also have to rely on us to carry the multiplayer in some ways and get them extra funds and money too. So for that reason, with PlayStation being the lead platform for Call of Duty, it just might be the case, and I'm just being realistic here, that Phil and team are saying, hey, well, we might want to keep it on there to get this extra money. Now, we can obviously point out that Microsoft, it's not like they need to have PlayStation. No, they don't. They can clearly do it without them. The bigger point, though, what I would think, at least, from what we've been seeing with the pushback from some of these government entities and regulators, is that they might have to do that a bit to seem like they're being fair to all. That's what I'm wondering about. Like, they probably are prohibited from outright denying it being on PlayStation, at least on the onset, because we already know about them possibly going back years later to revoke a deal, we've heard, right? So that's the thing I wonder about. And so I don't know all the details and intricacies on that. But the petty me, it'll have to take somebody above my understanding. If I'm in Phil's position and I'm like, yeah, take it out. It's canceled. Nobody on the PlayStation yet. That would be me. They'll probably have to be like, no, boss, but you can't because this. I don't care. I'll be sitting there arguing with them. They'll be like, no, but you can't. You're fired. I'll be sitting there like Vince McMahon. You're fired. I want this off PlayStation. But no, it'll have to be the case. I think it'll have to be the case that they might have to put it on there.
Yeah, to your point, it makes sense, right? Like they turn around and say, listen, it's good to 2024. We're going to give you to 2027 to figure it out, and what's in 2028, folks? The launch of new consoles.
Yep.
So obviously they're like, well, we paid $70 billion for this. Call of Duty is going to launch exclusively on an Xbox, and that's going to sell hotcakes. Right, that's going to be the lead block, if you will. Yeah. And you know something, I see what you're saying. You make a lot of sense. I think that there are going to be people that do the regulators are going to want that in writing where we wrote it to Sony, we'll put it in writing, let's just get this deal done. But if they want anything more than that, then they're going to wind up going to court, because again, the only way this deal doesn't go through is if Microsoft lied about something, or there's nothing in what's going to happen is going to make this a monopoly. Sony has to spend money to develop a AAA SOCOM. I said this on many shows before. So what Microsoft is offering Sony is a limitless. You can't put a price tag on it. They're giving them time to get their house in order and come up with a SOCOM that's going to be a Call of Duty killer. You can't put a price tag on that. You just can't. And they're offering something. Again, time is valuable. I personally don't understand how it's a year. Year 2027 isn't acceptable to them, and somehow that's egregious. When
it's inadequate.
They don't owe Sony anything. And like I said, but here's the thing. And like I said, we only have a few minutes left, so I do want to get everybody in here. Web Dave, let's bring you into the conversation. One of the things, again, that really pisses me off is this attitude that Sony feels that because they're the market leader, they're owed carte blanche to do whatever they want. And I have to say this, their entire ecosystem, their entire structure, folks, is built on keeping content from other players outside of PlayStation. This is something that is right out there. You don't have to be a diehard gamer to figure out that Spider-Man is locked behind a plastic box. Even when it comes to third-party games like the Avengers, Spider-Man, even though it was a terrible DLC, was not on Xbox and will never be on Xbox, right? We don't know. Final Fantasy 14, right? That's making bank for Sony on Square Enix. Final Fantasy 14 never coming to an Xbox near you. Final Fantasy 16 probably not coming. Forspoken, who the H knows? Final Fantasy 7, good luck, Charlie Brown. You're not getting 1, 2, or 3. And that's what they do. As a matter, I mean, look, the most recent, there's and again, it's a fetch quest. I don't think it's a big deal, but the fact of the matter is that through a marketing deal, there's a quest that an Xbox player will never get for Hogwarts Legacy. Like, what in the actual F are we doing when we're saying that Microsoft is somehow going to become a monopoly? What are your thoughts on this? Do you pull the deal?
Okay, so what Phil has said, I think, is going to stand. I think that the reason he's not saying anything else is because the lawyers are like, it's time to keep your mouth shut now. Let's just let this ride. If things go and the deal gets done this year or soon, I think it's going to happen soon, sooner than later, that they will honor what he had sent to them and signed agreement to them, whether they accept it or not. I think he will honor that, because at some point they're going to be like, well, you said at least 3 years, right? We got 3 years, right? So he's gonna at least take that. Now, obviously they want more. This is what they're trying to vie for. This is the whole reason they're making us think, is they're trying to get more, or they're trying to get it in perpetuity. That they want it always to be on their console, and Microsoft is not stupid, and they are not going to do that. What they've given them is more than fair. And the reason, Phil even kind of brought it out was like, they would love to not have to have a dissent decree. They would love to not have something in writing, because they've already basically said, hey, look what we're already offering them. That's pretty good. That's above and beyond what anybody should expect. So, when the board really sits down and looks at it, they could be like, yeah, that's pretty good. And you're already giving them, and they said that it's content parity, which that means that like everything for that 3 years that Microsoft puts out, whether it's levels, skins, anything, will be on the PlayStation at the same exact time available. Now, whether it's whatever, Sony wants to charge in their marketplace, for certain add-ons or, those kind of things. Yeah. And they are not, there's no way in hell Microsoft is going to keep it from Game Pass. Now, it may not be able to get on Game Pass until the other deal is done. That may be a stipulation that's in there. That's 2024, like 2025 version of that gets in Game Pass. But all the old ones are Game Pass day one.
Yep.
Guaranteed. The new one will be there as soon as it is contractually available. And from then on, it'll be in Game Pass. That's the main reason why they're buying this. Is obviously the King deal is super big for them.
Yeah.
But if you get Call of Duty into Game Pass day and date, I mean, there's still people that buy. There's still people that buy Halo and other games that are out on Game Pass just because they want to represent or want to have the box art or like the original disc kind of thing. Yep. That have Game Pass and will enjoy it that way, but still will still pay that money. There are people that are going to do that as well. So as far as does it in the long run, what Jim says, I mean, he is just basically from the way I'm taking it. If you step back and take a look at what he said, he is trying to save face with their fan base because he knows that there's really not a damn thing he can do to stop it. The deal really, the whole reason the regulators are getting involved is to make sure that the deal is not like going to be something that's going to, like you take over or destroy another company, but or to be bad for gamers. There's nothing that's been brought up, and all these other companies that have already submitted, which we've seen, that they've said, oh no, it's fine. They can buy them, not a problem. Sony is really the only company that's raising a stink, and that's because they know in the long run they've been resting on the backs of all these other developers for years. That's how they, like you said, their bread and butter, their modus operandi is that they like to go in and get these exclusive content for a limited time. The Forspoken is they've said that it's a 2-year exclusive from Square Enix that is 2 years before it'll be able to become on Xbox or Microsoft systems. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to stop there. They may have a catalyst or a something in place in their contract that says we get right of first refusal after that. Absolutely. Which I believe is what happened. That's
exactly what happened with Final Fantasy VII.
Exactly. That's what happened with Final Fantasy VII. They had the chance to, this is doing really good and Microsoft really wants it, but they're doing so much better this generation than we thought they were going to. We're going to pull that part of our clause and we're going to pay them more money, but we're going to keep it off of that platform. And I really think that that's what they've done. Now, obviously, I don't have the inside track to that, but as far as if you sit back and you think about, what would be beneficial to PlayStation compared to beneficial to the to Xbox and their gamers, that's what seems to make the most sense. Now, I love all the things that One Bad Mother said. I think he's right on point, man. It's I'm glad you're on the show today, man. That's awesome. So
thanks.
It was really.
I think that was Eternal. That was before you, though.
Yeah, it's a deal. It's
okay.
I know.
I like that One Bad Mother remembers my previous name still. I like that.
Oh wait, yeah. Forgot.
I like that. No, I like it. I'm like, oh, this brother remembers me.
I forgot you rebranded. I get your.
Well, listen. Speaking of OBM, let's get your final point. But before I bring you on the conversation, Brett Bingham drops a $5 super chat and says, Phil Spender should pull the deal like Lucy pulls the football on Charlie Brown. Call Bozo because he's a real clown. Yeah, he is definitely a clown. Tom from Toonami drops an outstanding $5 super chat, and he is also a new member. Thanks so much for that, Tom. He says, Jim, this wasn't the deal. Phil, I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
I thought about the
that's
same
great,
damn
right?
thing. I had the meme up and everything when
That is
when
that is
Umbra was
right out
done.
of Empire Strikes Back. And Lando Calrissian in a conversation with Darth
Oh,
Vader.
man.
Only real fans know that. But
Hey, Boom.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There is a one more up there. You scroll up just a little bit. It was on the super
oh yeah,
chat. It
Edmond
was-
Burns,
Yes.
who's been a member for 6 months. Hey, Edmond, hopefully you're doing Iman Burns. Thanks so much for being here, and of course, thank you for being a channel member for 8 months. He says, "How's your mom doing, DBG?" And she's stable, folks. She's stable. She's not in any pain, and it's right now. It's kind of like just a day-to-day thing. I'll keep everybody advised if it goes one way or the other, but we're just happy she's still with us at this point.
That's good news.
He says Sony's problem with Call of Duty is a known matter. What Sony does after Call of Duty is on GPU. Sony can't compete with that. What it feels like. Yeah, they absolutely can't compete with that because their service is built to give you old games, which they said, and Jim Ryan said, we don't play old games. So they built their whole infrastructure around playing old games. Now, I'm not a hater. When motorsport gets in there, if it ever does, I'm going to be playing that 24/7. It's one of my favorite racers of all time. But what it is what it is. But only time is going to tell with what they do. But they have an opportunity to bring back SOCOM. Drop the AAA dollar development or development dollars into a new SOCOM. People are calling for that. Make it the best first party, third person shooter, or reinvent the wheel. Make it make it a first person shooter and just rebrand it as SOCOM. I mean, you can do that. You have to invest. But One Bad Mother, let's get your opinion on this. Jim Ryan did shock the world where he brought this out into a public forum, and that's what he actually uses as his talking point. I thought this was a private conversation between me and Phil, but he brought it out to public forum, so I feel I have to set the record straight. And the way he set the record straight is, we're PlayStation. You either do what we want, or you're going to lose. And I'm sorry to say, you're no longer big man on campus. You're all going to be in third place once this deal is done. And there's nothing wrong with third place, because Microsoft has been in third place for a decade. Not a year, not 2 years, not 5 years, an entire decade. Microsoft has found a way to win by still being in third place. So Sony could win also. Maybe it will give Jimbo, force them to, be better, if you will. What are your thoughts on what he said? And do you pull this deal?
So here's what I think. I don't think, Jim's saying whatever he can right now because he knows that he could drive by Phil Spencer's house every day, throw something at his door, flip him off and honk the horn and drive away. It's not going to change the deal. And Jim knows it. Microsoft is a $2 trillion company who's making a $69 billion purchase. They don't really care about the feelings of Jim Ryan. They're not doing anything in this deal currently that's not good for them. And so I mentioned that because, I know there's like a lot of theories and philosophies about are they doing this to get the deal passed? Are they doing this to be the good guys? I don't think any of that stuff's true at all. 7 years, really, if we start looking at it, the most the FTC or any regulators could guarantee would be 10 years, I believe. I don't think you don't get to guarantee anything in perpetuity, which is 10 years is not going to be a whole lot longer than what they've already offered them. Microsoft is basically giving them this generation. And the reason they've
conceded this generation to Sony. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the reason they're giving them this generation is obviously some of it's going to be financial, right? Like there's going to be a lot of sales and they'll just kind of continue to help fund the Death Star, the building of their gaming Death Star. But in addition to that, I think Call of Duty actually staying on PlayStation for this particular generation till the end of it actually helps Microsoft build Game Pass and cloud long-term better. And the reason is Sony is in markets that Microsoft has never been in, never probably will be in as far as a console goes. They don't have any, Microsoft has presence in only a few markets worldwide. I mean, obviously really big markets, but there's a lot of reach that Sony has that Microsoft doesn't currently. And by leaving Call of Duty on the PlayStation platform, they kind of, you do a couple things. You continue to build up your brand. I think Microsoft wants to not only maintain the Call of Duty brand, they want to make it bigger. That's what they did with Minecraft when they bought that. They want to continue to make it even bigger than it is today, and you do that by leaving it on a platform that already has an established base. That's already there's already a lot of PlayStations out there with people that were planning on buying Call of Duty that already have. And then you have the other aspect that when I read Jim Ryan's comments when he said inadequate on many levels. To me, that indicates there's probably stipulations in the deal. There's probably, they got a crossplay tax right now, right? They probably want to get rid of that. I also assume that Microsoft it does nothing but benefit them if they can use Call of Duty to tear down some of the barriers between friends on platforms, because what that does is it reduces the barrier for people that go, well, you know what? I haven't bought my next gen console yet. I want to buy an Xbox, but all my best friends who play Call of Duty are on PlayStation right now. If Microsoft is able through like Discord and crossplay and all these other things to, continue to streamline that process or put stipulations in there for that only helps them probably in the long term, pull more customers that are in the PlayStation ecosystem.
Sony doesn't want that at all.
Yeah, no. So Jim Ryan doesn't want that at all, because there's a lot of people that are only going to stay with PlayStation because that is where their friends are at. That's where their crew is at. If that no longer becomes a factor in why somebody chooses their platform, if they can just streamline that whole thing, then there's going to be a lot more people that are going to be reactive to this Game Pass monster, which I do think, Call of Duty will end up being a tipping point. And that's the last thing. I think that Call of Duty sitting on that platform, you have crossplay, you have cross communication, you're going to have Discord soon, you're going to, when half your crew is getting the game for free and you're not, and they're telling you that's you're basically creating that Trojan horse, right? You're basically creating that pipeline now. And it's like, wait a second, you guys are getting a better deal. And Microsoft also knows, and I think it's a matter of just when, not if, streaming is going to be good enough for the mainstream. That may not happen this generation, but within 10 years, there's a lot of companies that expect us to get down to 1 millisecond latency, much higher bandwidth, and they don't need to be all the way there. They know at some point in time it's going to be good enough, and then next generation, I think after 2027 they'll just reassess, and it's like, well, maybe we don't need to support another SKU of hardware anymore. I don't think it guarantees that they won't make it for PlayStation next generation, but I think they want to have all those options, right? So they want to have that leverage too. They want to keep putting pressure, I think, on Jim to get rid of crossplay fee. I'm not saying anything right today, but all the fees, all the fees, and really just start taking down some of those barriers, because it benefits Microsoft. So really, in some ways, they're going to end up using the PlayStation platform to help build the mind share for their brand moving into the next paradigm. So yeah, Jim can say whatever he wants. I think he's going to, I don't really know that what he said, the risk reward on that was the best idea, because all it's doing is kind of making the PlayStation brand look a little bit weaker to the enthusiast, who are now, you've cast doubt on whether they will continue to get that game there, where I don't think Microsoft would have come out and said, hey, we're just thinking about maybe we won't give it to you in a few years.
There is a piece to the information that's not really out there. And thanks to Everborn Saga for bringing this up. He actually said that there is where it is said by Microsoft where they will revene the 3-year contract once it's expired and come back to the table, meaning that they're going to give them 3 years, but it's only going to be 3 years at a time, and they're going to have to either get in line or get left behind. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But
that's what I was saying, Boom. That's why I said the time will be cut short. Where I was said, if now it's going to be, now that you're either going to pay this exorbitant amount now for these 3 years, or maybe they can give them like less years on the contract before they go up on the next one.
Yep,
Or
exactly.
here's a year contract at this price that you were previously charged. The next time you're getting charged more.
Yeah, instead of
so on and so
70-30, maybe it's 70-20. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Maybe it's
that could work
70-25.
out.
We
Yeah.
75-25. You know what I'm
Good
saying? Because
point.
now it's ours,
Yeah.
and we don't owe you shit. Pardon my
Yeah.
French.
Or and they could add the whole thing that One Bad was just talking about, where they could say, "Hey, we want to have cross play. We want to have cross chat.
No more
things of that
$10
nature."
tax.
Yeah.
No more. As I won't say it fully because I try not to curse, but every once in a while calls it the a-hole tax.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Have
and
all
next gen, I would be surprised if next gen, if either console maker can hold on to the 70-30 split, because the splits are going down everywhere else, right?
Yep.
There's pressure being put on them to go down everywhere. So again, Microsoft, why would they want to say in perpetuity we're going to give, or even we're going to give you this 10-year deal? And
There's no forevers. Even a 10-year,
yeah.
you just don't know what the marketplace is going to be.
Right.
But look, let me.
Yep.
First of all, OBM, thank you so much for joining us. I got one more super chat. Good friend of the program, Shooter 2853, and he says this: Boom! It needs to be said you are a champion to keep putting out these the shows while my mom is ill, and the house will look after. You are a champion. Thanks. Now, listen, dude, I do it because I'm in the hospital every day. A lot of people don't know that. I am taking care of the house every day. I don't mind having this stacked on my shoulder. I have very broad shoulders. I can carry a lot. But these shows are my one happy place. They're my one zen place where I can come. I can kind of forget about things for a little bit, an hour and a half, 70 minutes, 2 hours, and then get back to real life the minute it's done. I do it because I love this community, and that's very kind of you to say, Shooter. I definitely appreciate that. This is, again, it's my happy place to do the shows, and right now it's the one solace that I have. So I will continue to do shows until something bad happens and I just can't until I handle the family business, and until then tune in every day because I'm streaming 5 days a week, and there is one big thing happening the last week of the month. It's my birthday on the 25th. We are doing a breakfast with Boom on the 23rd, which is going to be Boom's birthday bash. And Mrs. Boom and I are giving away $500 worth of digital prizes. That's right. My birthday, you get the presents. And all you got to do to win is be in the chat. Now, if you drop a super chat, you get an additional entry. If you are a channel member, you get an additional entry. And, of course, if you sub to the channel, there's your fourth entry to the contest, and all digital goods are going to be sent to you via email, via DM on Twitter, or a money app like PayPal. If you're outside of the country, we will honor the win, and we will pay all transfer fees and all denomination that's different from our country to yours. We pick up that. We ask the winners to pick up absolutely nothing. That's something that we pride ourselves with. But let's get to the outros. We'll start first with One Bad Mother. Brother, thank you so much for jumping in. Appreciate you. Love you like a brother. Tell everyone where they can check out your Halo program each and every week. And more importantly, what you got going on with Xbox Era, and where could people reach out to you on social media?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Boom. It was nice to jump in here for a quick minute. I'm going to go finish up lunch. But if people want to catch me, if you don't already follow me, you can find me on Twitter at One Bad Mother, at Mother, MUTHA_ONE. Also, I'm with the Xbox Era guys. Hopefully we'll be done with our project soon and I can start putting out some more content. But until then, if you are a Halo fan that's listening to this show, catch us about every other Thursday. We do have our Halo podcast, and it's called You Had Me at Halo. We will be on this week. There's plenty of news this week, including, I don't know if you had a chance to mention it, Boom, but John from Xbox Era had his Forge map featured in that reveal. So we got a lot to talk about between the some of the leadership changes and some of the Forge stuff that's now coming out. That'll be on at 7:15 Eastern time in a couple days. So look forward to seeing some of you from this chat there. Thanks.
Yeah, looking forward to it, brother. And yeah, speaking of Xbox Era, this Thursday, I'm sitting down with Jesse Norris, producer of the Xbox Era, and we're going to be breaking down what happens on Wednesdays indie show. There's a 90-minute Xbox indie show. Yes, it is the Twitch indie show, but at least it's not 9.5 hours and run by a bunch of boobs. Hopefully, we're going to get a chance to see really good games. I can't talk about what I know of one game that's going to be showed, but I am so excited and so proud. A Wandering Dutch, if you're listening, we both know because we were contacted by said developer of said game, who's a good friend of ours personally. So it's really great to see that we're going to get a bunch of new games. And yes, that's happening Wednesday, I believe at noon. We're not covering it on this channel, but we're going to cover it. Jesse and I are going to cover it the next day with all the highlights, and we'll have another topic to get into. That's one of the 70-minute programs. But Web Dave, thank you so much for joining us, brother. Sell your brand. Talk about your interview with Hargeet Chani, who's going to be a guest tomorrow evening on Primetime Gaming, and the fact that you interviewed a literal genius.
Yeah, it's a really good interview. If you get a chance to check it out, it is available right now. It's a little over an hour, and he is a really cool guy, and he had a lot to say. So definitely want to check that out. It's Outbreak Podcast is the YouTube channel. Outbreakpodcast.com is our website. And also got another big interview coming up with Gaz, which will be dropping.
3 phases
on,
of Gaz. I love the thumbnail. Love
Thanks,
the thumbnail.
It'll be coming up next Monday, and hopefully one of these days, One Bad Mother, I'll have to try and get you on. I'll try and reach out to you again, see if I might be able to talk him into coming on. And
yeah, man, that sounds good.
Be awesome.
sounds like a good time.
All right, brother. Well, thank you, Dave, for being here, jumping on. I definitely appreciate that. Daniel McG, sell your brand, brother. What videos you got going on? I'm sure in that beautiful mind of yours, you have 3 or 4 you're working on. Talk about your channel, how many subs you need to get 1K, and more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
So you can reach me on social media at Daniel J. McG. That's Daniel J. MCG, or on YouTube at just Daniel McG. Right now I'm working on a video about why it feels like PlayStation is kind of throwing this generation. It's going to be a pretty salty video. So if you like deep dives and hot takes, I'm going to be your guy for the next couple weeks. I think the next 2 videos I have are a little spicier than I generally like to be. But we are about 55 subscribers away from 500. Nice. So I would really like to hit that by the end of the year. I think we can probably get there before then. So maybe stop by. Hopefully I've got something you'll like.
Yeah, actually, again, folks, real simple. There's 258 people still here. We had well over 400 today, which is awesome. Head over to these guys' channel. Everyone's info is there. Click, you're subbed, bell, good, golden. No one's on this show that I don't think deserves to be here, but I also keep people on the panel that bring a lot to the community the same way I do. So if you trust me, and I believe that you do, head over and subscribe to everyone. And last and no way least, Infinite Umbra, which, by the way, folks, I'm confirmed that the Xbox Infinite podcast completely stole this man's name. I know that you're listening, team. Give this man back his name or give him credit. Now, what's going on? To sell your brand, Umbra, talk about the Xbox Infinite podcast with one hell of a panel each and every Friday evening. And also, where can people reach out to you on social media?
It just feels so pleasant to hear the truth shine like that. Boom. I appreciate you, brother, for letting the folks know that it's named after me. But yeah, you guys can find me under Umbra Infinite or Infinite Umbra on Twitter. You can find me as Super Havoc on Xbox. If you like-minded, well-mannered people, hit me up. You could join us for some game nights or something like that. I might even talk with you here and there, And of course, you can find me on Xbox Infinite, named after me, and on Fridays at 8 o'clock Eastern. And of course, here, typically at 12, although I was late today. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I was ready for it and just literally dozed off.
Dude, when you work overnights, it's hard to get yourself up. We definitely appreciate you being a part of this show. And Shooter 2853 says, "Oh no, Boom! Don't get us started about the Infinite."
I'm just telling. We just telling the truth here. That's all it is. We brought some truth
The
telling.
truth
today.
shall set you free. That's what
right.
they say.
And right now we're free. Right now, that's all it is.
Oh,
But
my
no,
God.
yeah, this was a good discussion here. Nice to hear you all's take on it. Thanks for joining us, One Bed, and yeah, you guys. Thank you all in the chat for coming through and supporting as usual too.
Yeah, thank you. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again for tuning in for today's show. Tomorrow evening, don't forget Hargeet Chani, guest on Primetime Gaming. And folks, we're going to be breaking down how Sony proper is down 41% year over year. They are in trouble. How much trouble? Well, maybe Apple comes a calling and buys out PlayStation. We're going to talk about that and a bunch of other topics with Hargeet, who is really smart. And again, we have all the numbers. Sony, there's a reason why they're afraid of this this call. And they're calling it the Call of Duty deal. It's really not about just Call of Duty, but they have real concerns because COD is one of their number one money makers when it comes to third party. So of course they don't want to lose it. But tune in tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where the Primetime Gaming crew is going to break all of that down and then some. Of course, I'm going to close a big shout out to all the super chats that come in. Those help us do these monster giveaways. And again, there's one coming next Thursday, which is going to be next Friday morning on Breakfast with Boom. That is September 23rd. And $500 worth of digital gifts are going to be doled out. All you got to do to win is be in the chat. And of course, I'll close out today's show with something that's important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week back on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast.